The exercise saw some contestants attract only 1 or 2 supporters, while their opponents drew longer queues across several villages. Across the country, the elections were marred by delays, disputes over voter registers, allegations of voter bribery, and confusion over voter and candidate eligibility. In several villages, voting was postponed or repeated after electoral officials failed to deliver materials on time, or disagreements emerged over the conduct of the exercise.
The registers will be conducted.
Clashes raising concerns about growing passion.
Justice Simon Byabakama is with us in the studio tonight. We also have Honorable Justin Lumumba, the Minister of Information and National Guidance. Honorable George Musisi, Member of Parliament, Kira Municipality, and the legal advisor to the National Unity Platform. We also have Honorable Odonga, Otto, a frontliner. Mr. James Tweheyo, we used to call him Teacher Tweheyo, but he's now one of the commissioners at the NRM's Electoral Commission. Good to have you all, and a very good evening. I'll start with you, Chairman Byabakama. Is this an election you can write home as an election?
Not on a right.
With all the mess.
Not on a right, but overwrite. Why? Because the Ugandans enthusiastically embraced this election. They offered themselves in big numbers as candidates. The voters, whom some pundits and the analysts had argued may not turn up to vote for their chairpersons, they proved everyone wrong, and they turned up in big numbers. You saw the enthusiasm, the vibe, and the excitement with which they went about doing that. So to me, I want to really say kudos to the people of Uganda, for you have demonstrated that you know what you want and how you want to go about it, and you have fulfilled what you want.
The following characteristics were very remarkable in this election. Late start, poor management of crowds, violence, voter bribery, and every mess that you can imagine.
Well, the aspect of late start, and I want to commend NBS and other channels which were spread across the country, showing us how the process was ongoing. We realized that it was a late start on account of the people not reporting early to the designated polling stations or polling areas. In our program or roadmap, we had anticipated that the voters would report to the polling areas at 7 a.m. And between 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., the presiding officer would verify or identify the voters basing on the registers. Unfortunately, in many areas, people turned up late. Some people first went to their gardens or went to their business, and they came late. Nevertheless, the issue was that they turned up and were verified. And after the verification process, then the voting started. We had proposed or anticipated that if the voters turned up early, then voting should be able to start across the country at 11 o'clock. But this did not happen, as we all realized. But nevertheless, this did not mean that the people were not interested, they were not keen or desirous of these elections. Then on the issue of violence, of course, we saw some episodes of violence in some areas. But we need to ask ourselves, what was the cause of this? I think we all recognize that, unfortunately, this spectra of violence has become prominent or prevalent in our elections in this country, which is unfortunate. And I think as a country, we need to address these causes of violence because they are not necessary. They distort the whole essence of democracy and the free choice of the people. If the people come to a polling station and they are not in any way indulging in any acts of disruption or chaos and so on, there should be no need for violence. But we remember there are some candidates, I'm told, who ostensibly organized groups or gangs of, they call them Gali, Gaza, and so on and so forth. Now, the issue is, what is the intent of this particular individual who organizes these groups whose sole aim is to cause disruption and violence? So as a country, I think we need to address that. Then the issue of bribery. Simon, we all know that bribery has become a cancer in our elections in this country. We have decried it. We have condemned it time and again. And at one time, actually, the proposal was that maybe we need a legal framework, a law in place that prohibits or that caps how much money Solomon or Simon, who is participating in an election, is allowed to spend. But that law did not see the light of day. So as it were, someone with the biggest pockets continues to spend as they will. But again, that is unfortunate and it is undesirable. Again, it is taught.
You seem to blame gangs and not security, because in many ways we've had reports of security officers who shot dead voters. There were cases in Jinja and several other places.
Yes, I had some reports of security involvement. But I think the question we need to interrogate or ask ourselves, what was the cause of this? Because security was virtually in many areas. For instance, I was in Kisenyi, Kasato, of all places, and there was security. But we never saw that. We had the military, we had the police, but we never saw those episodes of security coming in with a strong arm or using the weapons at their disposal. So what causes security to react in the manner that they do, to the extent that they have to use tear gas, they have to release live bullets in the air in order to try and calm the situation? So to me, the starting point for having a peaceful election rests with us, the people. If we conduct ourselves in a peaceful, law-abiding manner, civil manner, tolerant with one another, I think then security's role will be minimized or mitigated. But for as long as we have incidences of violence, as long as we have these gangs and groups which have been brought on board purposely to disrupt or distort or cause mayhem in a polling process, then you are likely to see security. But having said that, yes, there are some of our security people who probably overstep their mandate, because we have said the role of security is purely to ensure there is an enabling environment that allows the voters and the candidates to go about the business at a polling station in a peaceful, assuring environment that will enable them to cast their votes freely.
Before I get to Honorable Lumumba, can we call this another Byabakama election?
Whatever that means.
Well, Honorable Lumumba, in 2018, there was a crisis. We wanted to go for LC1 elections. There was no money. We opted for queuing. This time there was money. Still, government opted for queuing. And money was released at the last minute. There is every sense that government was very casual about this election. What's your take?
If you remember, Electoral Commission made a budget. I don't remember the amount. Maybe the chair would remind me. They made a budget for secret ballot, and it was big. And we took a decision that let's go the simplest way, because the people in the villages know each other. They know each other much more and better than anybody else on the village. So when we took a decision that let's have the issue of lining up, because it's like a family choosing a head in that family of the village. So that's when I think you came up with a budget of about how much? 56? About 56 billion.
Yes, yeah.
But I don't remember the original figure, which would have gone for secret ballot. So that decision was taken, and the resources were mobilized and released to the Electoral Commission for us to have this exercise. Because we didn't want to postpone this exercise. If you recall, we've kept postponing the elections of LC1 because we didn't want to have elections to interrupt and disrupt the government program, especially the parish development model. And that is the PDM, and that is what made the government to say, let's have elections at the same time, so that when we close the chapter of elections, we now go into service delivery. And it's the same principle or spirit that government took the decision for us also to push forward the elections for the women councils, which are also on together with the LOC1. So government did not behave casually, but government was looking at the size of the wallet vis-a-vis the demands on the wallet.
Okay. To what extent?
You asked a question before.
Yes. Do you appreciate the criticality of an LC1 election? And do you feel it deserved more and better?
The election for the LC1 is very important. And it is also defined in the laws, the law in the Constitution, but also the Local Government Act, because it defines, it gives roles to these offices of LOC1. When you look at the chairperson LOC1, is given the responsibility to be the one to mobilize members of his community or her community to support government programs, to make sure they all work together with the government in leadership to make the welfare of people better. But it also gives the responsibility of the LOC1 to make sure there is defense in that place, in the village, but also gives the responsibility to recommend people who should join the forces, whether prisons or UPDF or prisons. They mobilize the parents or people to go for health care, immunization. So the responsibility to them is like you carry all of the work of the whole of government and put the responsibility on the shoulders of LOC1 chairperson. So whatever is implemented and has the component of mobilization by central government and the local government, it is all now centered at the community level, and the powers are vested in the chairperson of the village. It's a lot of responsibility. So it is a very critical office in service delivery. And that is the unit, the most important unit of administration, because whether you want security, you won't keep it up here. It has to come down to the LOC1.
This election has had quite a number of postponements. Still, under the guise of there is no money. So even this time, government had no money, 8 years down the road.
I said it's not, this time it wasn't basically because of money. I told you when their term ended in between, that was in 2023, and this term had started 2021 to 2026. So when their term ended, we were supposed to hold elections in 2023, but government kept postponing because we didn't want to disrupt the implementation of the parish development model and other programs, because the LOC1, the LOC2 has a very big role in these programs, and that's why we pushed it to the end of the term so that all elections are held at the same time. That's why you see we had presidential, parliamentary, local councils, and women councils, youth councils, PWDs. Now we are winding up with LOC1s, LOC2, and local women councils from the village up to the national level.
Would it have been more plausible if we went for secret ballot?
It would have been, but the issue is resources. Because remember, we've just come from the general elections. How much did we spend in the general elections?
It was slightly over 1 trillion. But
slightly over 1. Okay.
But let me say
I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. Council Museveni, how do you evaluate the LC1 election? And there is also this notion that NUP is premised on people power, but this time people power was crushed because NRM took the day.
Well, your first question contradicts the second. My evaluation of the election would have a hindrance on whether NUP was crushed or not. But first of all, Simon, you asked a question to Honorable Lumumba regarding the preparations for the elections. The elections is not a voting day. elections is the process. It's the whole cycle. And one of the problems we've always had with the Muhoozi constant postponements was that in some of us, our opinion was that he was taking away the will of Ugandans because the constitution is clear and the other laws that people should be elected for a 5-year mandate. By the mere fact that we've even had this election outside the 5 years shows maybe the attachment they're giving. I don't want to buy the idea of cost that it's been because it's been too expensive, because money is found for other things. So if you look at the shabbiness in which they went into the election, this is part of the electoral cycle. And when we went into the general election, in the presidential elections and the parliament elections and the subsequent local government elections, government should have designated the day from the onset for election of LC1s. Mr. Muhoozi, you all remember, came around March and said, we shall have the elections, but sometime in April before swearing in. We all remember, without committing to anything. Then he comes back and says, we shall have them at the end of April before the beginning of May. And then, when the money was eventually advanced to the Justice Byabakama Commission, we had to go into the panic mode of having up with the roadmap. The sanctity of any election, Simon, goes to the preparations to ensure that people are not unnecessarily disenfranchised, because the constitutional commandment is clear that government or EC should do all it can to ensure that all those who are eligible to vote do register and vote. Now, because of the hurried roadmap, we had to do a small window of registration for eligible voters of 5 days, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. That naturally disenfranchises some people. Those who work between those hours, those who are supposed to be at Next Media between 8 and 5, were naturally disenfranchised because you couldn't go back to Bamutakude and register and come back on time within the 5 days. So if you are analyzing the election, you don't analyze the election day. Of course, when it goes to election day, there were, in many places, the election went peacefully. In many places, there were incidents. In Chira, out of the 54 villages or cells, the election had to be repeated in about 10. That is almost 20%. And I'm giving that as an example. Why was it repeated? Because of the usual incidents. On one occasion, a presiding officer comes and counts on the one line, then then he runs away. That happened in 3 villages before counting the other 2 lines. So whereas there are these other ugly incidents we've had from elsewhere, like the chairperson was talking about, like we had about some place where a drone came, and those incidents where security directly involved themselves. But there are also other recurrent issues that are attributable directly to the Electoral Commission and the officers.
Yeah, but Justice Byabakama is just thumping. He says it is an election he would proudly write home about.
Yes.
Overwrite, actually.
Yes.
Justice Byabakama was the organizer. Is there a chef who says their food is bad? Would you seek a sober review of this program when you're asking Simon? You need an independent analyst. So the issue is, Simon, that if you are to look at it from a quantitative point of view, like Justice Byabakama is, it was a success, because it will tell you out of 71,000 villages, the election went peacefully in 70,000. However, if you are to look at it qualitatively, that was it sufficient that even one Ugandan or even one village had to, because like I said, some of these incidents that led to the postponement of the elections were predictable, as some of the things that we've been talking about over and over again. And the mere fact that we've not found a solution for them, it means that it's a problem.
Again, Honorable, as I move to Honorable Otto, NUP performed dismally in the LC1.
How did it perform?
Generally, 80% went to NRM.
Using what statistics? That's not true.
91.
Well, using what statistics?
All the villages.
No, that cannot be true, because where I'm standing, for instance, NRM got, I think, less than 50%. Very many pursued as independents, by the way.
So what's your scorecard?
No, I've not got the statistics. The difference between me and some other people is that I speak with facts.
Okay.
So
what
I've not got the facts. If I use the sample of Chira municipality, for instance, NRM didn't even get 50%. That's what I'm saying. If I use Wakiso, it didn't even get 50%. So there are many people, independents actually performed better than all parties, because many pursued as independents and many people won as independents. Very many people, at least if you're to use Wakiso as a sample. So I want to get the facts before I speak.
Honorable Otto, you've been through a number of elections. How will this one go down in the annals of history?
Actually, all the elections I've gone through when Justice Byamukama has been the chairman of the Electoral Commission, I've lost all of them. I've lost all of them. So I'm now in prayers that maybe he leaves the office before or I leave the profession. And most of my losses are attributed to the Electoral Commission. The last one, the difference was 26 votes. The chairman did not train their staffs well. The law calls for mandatory recount. I raised my hands before the results were declared that please recount. They refused. I lost 26 votes. The previous one, the MP had not resigned. I even wrote to them that this one has been drawing salary. The Electoral Commission turned a blind eye. But life has to continue. I only hope we live long enough to see the verdict history will give. But be it as may, this LC election was a success, in my opinion. To have elections in 71,000 villages is a very ambitious project. It's a very ambitious project that, to that extent, we should try to give credit to the Electoral Commission where it is due. That is my honest opinion. But you see, if you live out of Uganda for long, like some of us did, there are 4 things that Uganda is recognized worldwide for. 1, Idi Amin. Actually, Idi Amin has marketed Uganda more than anything else. 2 is the Nile, the River Nile. 3, the local council elections. The LC system, the whole world is interested in understanding. And 4, our fight on HIV/AIDS, that we defied global statistics. Uganda was like a success story. But for me, as a political philosopher, what is of interest to me is not whether the elections were successful or not, but is Uganda ready for direct democracy? Are we ready for a situation where I have to line up behind someone? I've seen people getting 0 votes. I've seen some man getting no vote, and yet he was nominated by 2 people. How do you explain that? I have seen situations of a man alone, even his wife was even not there to line up behind him. It means direct democracy is failing. And for your information, NRA got 91% of all the electoral votes in the LC system. So that means there is either loyalty to the party or there is fear of not lining up behind a party candidate. Someone needs to do a research to find out. Because some people say if you are NRM and you are seen not lining behind NRM, you will be reprimanded. This brings me, Honorable Lumumba, to the debate we had around 2005. And I think history has exonerated President Museveni. Those of you who care to keep history. President Museveni was not agreeing when Parliament was ready for multipartism. He was not agreeing for us to allow multipartism to go up to LC1 level. Then he was at the opinion that multipartism or political parties should start surfacing at LC3 level. Because why would I go and vote for LC1 because someone is movement? And the moment you are seen not voting for someone in the NRM, you may not be recommended for PDM. You may not be recommended for. So I think we made a mistake as Parliament and also as the Electoral Commission to allow this multipartism trickle down up to LC1 level, LC Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Women Affairs. And my friend Musisi, you are putting on a very big shoes of replacing Semuju Ibrahim. I would... Yes, you're serving your own term. I would challenge you that this parliament needs to start debating whether really we should have the multi-party system at the LC1 level. For me, in my opinion, it is absolutely not necessary. Even those in the opposition and independent people who have voted were voted because of individual merit. They were not voted because they were leaning to a particular party. But majority of those in the NRM who were voted because of loyalty to the party. Loyalty to the party took a more center stage above and beyond individual merit.
Honorable Otto, I find it rather odd when you say this election was a success. Are you sweeping all the mishaps and the level of disorganization, the haste? Did you ever see any kind of civic or voter education taking place?
You see, if I were Justice Biamokama, I would even organize the election region by region because it was too ambitious to try to attack the whole country at a go. It's absolutely very ambitious. I can't even believe that the exercise has ended. So in my honest opinion, people have elected their LCs. My village in Upolachen elected LC. People are happy. I've been getting correspondences from all other areas. People are happy.
Do you support the idea of queuing behind a candidate?
In the circumstance, if you are to spend 56 billion to get ballot papers, secret ballot for LCs, these people of the Electoral Commission are specialists in rigging secret ballots. So even for Parliament, we may have to resort to lining up. Because where there is secret ballot, don't trust the Ugandan Electoral Commission.
I read a bit of satire in your argument. I read a bit of satire.
No, because these ones of lining up, people really decided who they wanted. Those were village issues. If we had secret ballots, the Electoral Commission would be given a preferred list, the way they were given in the last parliament, that we don't want this one back, we don't want this one back. Actually, the Electoral Commission aided the ruling NRM party to get rid of opposition out of parliament. And this one, I wanted to be on record that this would be the worst Electoral Commission Uganda has ever had in its history. That is my opinion.
Mr. Tweheyo, yes. NRM is basking in victory, feeling high after winning. But how you won remains a big question. Do you feel the country deserved better?
It was expected in the first place, because this is a clear justification of what we want, even in the presidential, even in the parliamentary. It is a clear straight line. The writing is on the wall. And maybe we should even have been credited more, because for us as NRM, we even had the primaries. And in every village of the 1,400 something, we had a flag bearer. So to come out with 90% of our flag bearers coming out as victors is not a surprise. And by the way, you were even talking about honorary LCs. But we also have women councils. If you took interest in that, which was done about 5 days before, you should have seen it clearly. And interestingly now, the women councils are coming up in a sort of straitjacket, because those who didn't enter at LC1 may not be even voters.
What's your take on the allegations?
Which allegations?
That, the Secretariat engaged in a lot of bribery, influenced a lot of voter bribery. Some scenes were captured on camera. Chairpersons, NRM chairpersons, doling out cash. 5,000.
This time, I am glad you are choosing on your diction and you are calling it allegations. It is true, the allegations. So it is you who alleged proof. But me, as I can say, our people competed, our people won. Possibly, if you saw them giving out money, it could have been for a reason. Because sometimes, no. Let's be clear. Sometimes we would invite people and say, you have to give them water for drinking. And perhaps for you thought, if I gave Odonga money to go and get me a carton of water,
on election day.
Money. Why not?
On election day.
You mean on that day you didn't eat? Neither did you drink any water?
That's voter bribery.
What do you mean?
So what is voter bribery?
On the very day...
Okay, so what is voter bribery?
That one can be... Can be done.
Campaign meals and refreshment.
The legal brain now can tell you what it is or what it is not. But what I can say is that for us as a party, we never engaged in bribery. Voter bribery, to be specific.
So what was the 20 billion for?
20 billion was for managing the elections and supporting our own flag bearers. We had flag bearers. We had to move even to get the whole secretariat. And you should credit the likes of Honorable Kasere Lumumba. They started the system. We moved within it. Even the Honorable Secretary General at the moment, I am part of the Electoral Commission. We had first of all to organize our own team. If you're going to play a game, you have to organize your team. And if you go there disorganized, certainly you brace yourself for a loss. And even the 90% we have got, in our view, should have even got much more. and good enough, Councillor Musisi is saying yes. Some of the other people who you saw in, not necessarily as a no point other, came out as independent. What does that tell you? If they were inclining the other end, what stopped them from coming up as the real party flag bearers? It means even those who came as independents, if you were to verify them, some of us could have been our own people who came up because they didn't have the opportunity to come as flag bearers and made it. So if, by the way, you were to look at independents critically, the total number of independents in all villages, and you look at them and say, this is so and so, this is so and so, you'd be surprised to find that NRM won more than 95%.
Okay, do you find it logical to celebrate an election that was marred by violence, massive violence, rigging, threats from security?
Those elements you are alleging were scattered in many areas. They were not...
Maybe they aided your victory.
They were not concentrated, not necessarily, because who were fighting? Can you just fight because for you on camera? Who were those fighting? Can't we say for real that those who are fighting were those who were against us and didn't want elections to take place? But regardless of that, we made it.
Do you vouch for...
So having struggled through that confusion, that fight, and made it to this end, I think you should credit us.
Would you vouch for this system to be the new norm, where people have to queue?
Yes.
To replace secret ballot?
Yes, I could vouch for that because we have used it in our own primaries for NRM, even up to parliamentary level. We have tried to get that. We have moved the villages to get that done. We did our primaries. And as I've told you, we had been there, just been there for our primary elections. And by the way, even for the next level for the women councils and LC2s, tomorrow we are setting our own primaries and getting our own flag bearers move up. So once you have your own people and you have lined them up, there's no reason why you should not campaign for them, why you should not struggle to ensure that they win through thick and thin.
Okay, Solo, you are right in the kitchen. How tough was it for you? And what does this election mean to you?
We are waiting for swearing in, but the presiding officer declared me the winner by 1 vote. But thank you for having me on the front line.
By 1 vote?
Yeah, it was cutthroat. But let me just speak to what really my involvement in the LC1 election, you know.
If you could just hold it just a second. Justice Byabakama.
Yes, sir.
What happens when someone wins by just 1 vote? Doesn't that call for a recount?
Well, the law provides that if the margin is less by 50 votes, then that calls for an automatic recount.
So you shouldn't celebrate yet?
At the instance of the runner-up. If he says, I want to recount,
there's no petition against him. So.
But you see, the beauty is that the LC system is funny because they give you, a card. It's called what?
A voter slip?
A voter slip. So when you give your voter slip, they count you. And then it's easy because then you just count the slips that have been provided. But let me just give you a classic example of, my thought during these electoral processes. I think the first thing is that there's been a general undermining of the LC1 chairmanship amongst all Ugandans. So people think that the LC1s should be the drunkards, the P4 dropouts, those that, you know, it's
the lowest
of community. And I think that's being naive, because villages are the smallest components of the nation, and therefore we need to govern them with people who are able to govern the villages. And with this I mean, if you can't manage corruption at the village level, then you can't catch it at the parish level, and you can't catch it at the constituency level, at the sub-county level, and you can't catch it at constituency level, and you think you'll catch it at the district level with the Auditor General.
Okay.
So when I participated in this election, it was really interesting. But I think there's some critical things that the Electoral Commission needs to work on. I think the first thing is the registration of voters in the village voters register. So what we saw in many constituencies is they bring people who are not from the village and they register them in the voters register.
Did it happen in Bamutakude?
Yes, it did. And I think that the people protested against that where I voted, where I was counting, or where I was standing. We saw so many instances where in different, villages where people bring in people who don't stay at the village and they register them in the voters register. The vote is not won on the line. The vote is won in the registration process. Now, the problem is that many of our villages don't have, in many of the villages, we don't have village IDs. In the past, we used to have village IDs that identify you that I am from Bamutakude village.
And this is my number.
And this is my number, my village number. Currently, we have the national IDs, but they do not specifically point to where I am from, Bamutakude. So in my village, where I am the LC1, we're going to give my people village IDs that specifically points to the fact that they are villagers. Because how best can we curb this? And this problem also goes at national level. So we have seen people shipping people and they register them in the constituencies that they don't even stay. So we have a big problem, and I think the Electoral Commission needs to take this very seriously, because they bring people from villages, other villages, and they register them.
So you witnessed an irregular election.
Yes.
And you won regardless.
Yeah, but, we saw, taxis coming in the morning, and people getting out of taxis, they're given breakfast, and, and then we were demonstrating, we were like, but who is that one? Where does he stay on this village? We don't know that person. Because, villages are small. So you can literally know everyone who stays around it. But you can't. So when we protested about the people we don't know, the police was deployed. But the police officer came and said, I follow the law. And the law says that as long as they're in the register, they're supposed to vote. That's it. So we saw people lining up or queuing up who are not from the village.
So there was a corrupted register.
Exactly. Because, you see, and that's the thing. So I don't know what Justice Beawakama is going to talk to us about, how they're going to manage that. Because for people like us who are joining politics, we thought, I go and register myself and my wife, and we go and campaign at grassroots level. You can easily, lose an election because you don't know how the politics is played. The vote is not won at the polling station. Vote is won at the registration process.
So the entire process, in your opinion, was flawed to the end.
No, I just wanted to highlight that because, you see, I'm giving you experience of what I saw. Now, the issue of counting, I think the most interesting part about the LC1 election is lining behind people. First of all, as a candidate, you're scared. You don't know what you're going through. You're standing and they tell you, don't turn. So there's a guy who was behind me and he was telling me, Mami Serwanja tochuka. But behind you're hearing, and you don't know what's going on. But the thing is that it's the most credible election because there is no ballot stuffing. there is no vote rigging. It is that they're counting one person at a time. Every candidate has an agent counting along with the Electoral Commission. 1, 2, 3. They're counting together up to the tail end of it. And both agents, or all the agents, sign.
Remember the counting of Tanga Odoyo, NRM
He jumped from. He jumped from.
Well, we'll take a very short break, and when we return, we'll be asking how this election is going to define Uganda's trajectory of electoral politics. We'll be back.
Frontline.
Can I have a light, please? What is this?
Castle light, the best testing light.
Try it.
Try it, try it, try it.
Guys, look at this post.
Nothing hits like extra cold. Castle Light. Try it.
The problem is the foundation.
Do you know the kind of cement I'm using in this foundation? I guarantee you even my grandchildren will come and find this house.
You buy your buy today and get the job done. Strong, reliable, available at hardware shops countrywide.
Why pay for someone else's repairs? Say goodbye to hidden costs and hello to peace of mind of a brand new start. Discover the Suzuki range of unmatched, fuel-efficient and reliable options. From the iconic Jimny to the new Across Hybrid. Find the perfect blend of style and world-class efficiency. Upgrade today and enjoy 1 year of free fuel and comprehensive insurance, plus 2 years of free service and a 3-year warranty. Trade in your current car or choose financing to start driving as you pay installments. Don't wait. Visit the Suzuki showroom today or call 0800-211-033 to get started.
Uganda is moving forward, and at the heart of that movement is the most extensive fiber network in East Africa, with more than 15,000 kilometers of fiber and over 5,000 telecom mast sites. Soliton Telmec is the backbone that enables Uganda's telecom and digital infrastructure, connecting government services, businesses, homes, universities, hospitals, banks, villages, and telecom masts. We don't just build networks, we maintain and commercialize critical infrastructure that supports national development. East Africa's leading fiber company, connecting Uganda with the most capacity. Soliton Telmec, building networks for life.
We don't need anyone's permission to move forward. What we need is the power to do it our way. Spiro is not your typical EV company. It's the power grid for African ambition. A network that connects Nairobi to Kigali, Lagos to Lome, Dar to Kampala. Not with cables and wires, but with clean, quiet, relentless movement. This is Africa, powered by us.
We understand that everyone yearns for a clean, tidy, and convenient working environment. That's why 7-Star Cleaning Services, we strive to provide highly customizable cleaning solutions using environmentally friendly chemicals, state-of-the-art equipment, and well-trained workforce for our clients. Visit our head office, Plot 4691, Ntinda Chisasi Road. Contact us on our official lines 0393-243-503 or visit our social media platforms. 7-Star Cleaning Services, a remarkable difference.
This is not
just a run. This is a movement with purpose. Join us on 30th August 2026 at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds for the Cancer Run 2026. Starting at 6 a.m. Also taking place simultaneously in other districts across Uganda for the completion of the One-Stop Cancer Center at Nsambya Hospital. Registration is only 30,000 Ugandan shillings online using Gonza Pay. Gates are available at all Centenary Bank branches, Capital Shoppers outlets, Bread House branches, the Cancer Run office on Zimwa Road, Muyenga, the Rotary Uganda office at Nick Building, and Rotary clubs across the country. The Rotary Cancer Run 2026 is organized in partnership with the Parliament of Uganda, Centenary Bank, Crystal Water, and Next Media Group.
And that's it for today. Till the next episode.
Like a daily bando, like a daily bando, like a daily bando. Omuliro nguwulira muli mu mutima kukankana like drums. Kalakata, kalakata, endungu ya kusabula. We gonna do free of fire, free of fire, free of fire.
Frontline.
Welcome back. Frontline continues to take stock of what happened during the LC1 election and how it's going to shape the electoral journey, the trajectory of electoral politics here in Uganda. Justice Byabakama, there's quite a lot of feedback coming to you about what exactly happened. In Lubowa, one of the residents says, please help me ask Justice Byabakama what we, the people of Vunamoya, should do, because the returning officer declared a different candidate who never won the election. With the assistance of the RCC, OC Station Lubowa Police, people were robbed of their victory. Another report, in Seguku Zone 4, the returning officer refused to declare the winner and just took off after discovering that his preferred choice had secured only 2 votes. In my particular area, Chitala LC1, up to now we don't have an LC1 chairman. The entire exercise was messed up by security. They locked people outside the gate. The few who entered were ordered to march out, and then we left.
So you didn't?
No one was declared chairman. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Simon. First of all, I want to commensurate with my brother, Odonga Otto, that he has not won any election under my tenure. My tenure.
And maybe that's how he sees you.
Maybe I should invite him for a joint prayer so that we can cast out those demons which are preventing him from winning under my tenure. But having said that, let me say this, members of the panel and those of us watching us. There is no perfect election in a part of the world. A free and fair election is not synonymous with a perfect election. It's not there. Now, when we talk of an election that had overwhelming success, then we are talking of the quantitative, even the qualitative aspects. One, in these concluded elections, we had out of 71,214 villages, we had elections conducted in 70,090 villages, which was equivalent to 98.4% success and 1.6% which were not successfully concluded. So in my view, that was a very wonderful yield.
Quantitatively.
Quantitatively.
How about qualitatively?
Even qualitatively, the 1.6% is where we had those instances we are talking about. Episodes of violence, episodes of disruption, or whatever, which rendered the whole process unable to produce a winner or the outcome of that election.
Were they negligible?
So in my view, yeah, that was negligible. That was negligible. But of course, you see, in any election, you have one incident which is negative, and it appears to surpass the 99% positives of the electoral process. But that is acceptable. Now, on the issue of the areas you are referring to, first of all, what Solomon, the chairperson-elect, Bamutakude is talking about. The issue of the voter, he's right in a way that the process of a credible election is largely centered on a credible register, because the register is the primary record of who is a voter and who is a candidate. You must be on the register. But we have the law put in place measures to correct the issue of a non-eligible voter getting on the register. That's why we have what we call the display period, that for every election, be it a general election or a by-election, after the update of the voters register or registration of new voters, the Electoral Commission is supposed or required by law to display the register at every polling station. In this case, every village was a polling station. And these registers were displayed at every village, and the people were sensitized. And the whole purpose of displaying the register, one, is to allow all the voters in that constituency or village to go and check, verify physically on the register, and identify any person who may not be or who is not a resident in their village.
But how do you know that?
Well, this is the whole thing.
Do you know everyone's names?
This is the whole thing. Now,
you have 5 days.
Vigilant. I think what we have, yes, what we need to do is to create a level of vigilance and awareness in the minds of our people, that if we get together, if we come together and we go to scrutinize this register, surely we should be able to tell that this person is a resident and this one is not a resident. The episodes Solomon was talking about of these minibuses or coasters coming with the people on polling day, the first question is, are they on the register or not? You cannot verify voters, credible voters or eligible voters in that area on polling day. You create a state of confusion. That's why, but you know, Ugandans, we at times don't take some of these things quite seriously. When we ask people to go for the display process, very few turn up. I don't know whether Solomon went to check or to verify.
Justice Welcome, I thought we could, through you.
Yes.
I thought we could be practical here.
Yes.
So you display the register.
Yes.
In 5 days.
Yeah, but you see, it was just 2 days.
Yes.
It was just 2 days. And this is where you come to the display. Usually you just come to check your name.
Yeah.
Or maybe the people you know, whether they are there.
Yeah.
Now you have a display of about 1,000 people.
With the faces?
No. It's just names.
Yes.
And they are in numbers.
Yes.
Now you cannot know that Odonga Otto doesn't stay at the village. You can't.
You can't be knowing
You can't know over everyone in the village. Even when you say that you want the entire village to come together and you all check, you may even end up cancelling a person who is a resident of the village. I would love to propose.
That may be the case in urban areas, but I can assure you in rural areas, people know one another.
Yeah, but we have urban areas.
Yeah,
so
I
we
think
can't
for
sweep
urban
that
areas,
away.
maybe we need to design something else.
I had made a proposal to you, Justice Biabakama, that we have village IDs.
Fine.
It's the best way you can recognize a person who stays on that village. And during the registration process, present your national ID with your name and also your village ID.
I think that should be factored.
That is not for him. That's not for electoral commission.
No, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
How
so
can
you are
we cure
pushing
this
that
problem?
now to government.
If there are 71,000 villages, the Electoral Commission should be able to produce a register with photos. Just one copy per village. That is not asking for so much.
Justice Biabakama,
yes.
If you had more money and more time, would you have organized a better election?
But I think we did organize a good election.
Under the circumstances.
But I can tell you, Simon, even if we had a month and we put all these things in place, does it address the attitudes and the mindset of some people who are hell-bent on creating another narrative, another trajectory about the electoral process? Are you going to prevent people who are bent on creating groups to come and disrupt? Are you going to prevent that? Are you going to prevent those who want to bribe voters? So I think the whole thing starts with we Ugandans. What is it that we want to have a proper, credible, clean, and proper election?
Okay,
I think that starts there.
Do you agree that this election was organized in haste?
No,
you
I
just
don't
had
think
3 months.
I don't think it was organized in haste. Remember, the term of office of these LOCs expired, the elective term, in 2023. And from that time, the Ministry of Local Government has been extending the term so that they are legally and validly in place. Now, when we released the roadmap, remember, we were ready right from the beginning. And by the Ugandans, some of them even had gone ahead to print posters. You remember, Simon? They had gone ahead to print posters until we came up and said, no, we are not able to proceed with this election. So what we did as Electoral Commission was to remind Ugandans that now, what you have been waiting for, we are now ready to go. The money is available. In fact, at that time, I remember in 2023, we had even gone ahead to register villagers for the Women Council Committee's elections. We had gone ahead to register until we were told the funds were not available. But let me come to the issue you have raised there, Simon. On the issue of the incidents in those selected areas you have mentioned. One, as I talk now, we have received so many petitions arising out of what people saw as flaws or shortcomings or whatever happened at their polling areas. Now, even in your village, where the chairperson has not yet been declared, and even in those areas where it is said the person with the longest line of voters ended up losing, in quotes, and the one with the shortest line ended up winning. All these are matters. The law says the Electoral Commission shall ascertain, publish, and declare the results of an election. We are by reviewing or looking at these petitions, we're in the process of ascertaining, did actually Solomon Serwanja, if we have a petition regarding Solomon Serwanja's victory, did he actually win or not? We are in the process of doing that. Was there an anomaly or not? We are not saying as the Electoral Commission, we are sapping the powers of the courts to interrogate the outcome of the process. But where a voter or a candidate says, look, I won the election, but the results that were declared did not reflect what happened at the polling station. We are looking at those.
I see a contradiction here in your statement. Yes. You initially said we organized a very good election. Yes. Now you're saying we have so many petitions.
Yes.
I think that speaks to the discontent from Ugandans about the quality of the election.
No, I think, Simon, I think the point, really, the basic point here is that, yes, we had 98.4% success. We had 98.4% of the villages where the elections were successfully held. But there are some where issues have emerged. That does not take away the fact that elections were held in the majority of areas successfully. We have a chairman-elect here, and I don't think there's one challenging his victory, and many others. But that, to me, I think what we need to address really is that in those areas where the chairperson has not yet been elected, or in those areas where there are issues that have emerged, what was the basis of the complaints that have been raised that prevented the actual victory or the actual results from being pronounced? To me, that does not take away the fact that the elections were successful. As I said, and I will maintain, there is no perfect election in any part of the world.
I see the ghosts. Rather, I saw the ghosts of 2018 manifesting again in 2026.
Which ones?
The same irregularities. Does this suggest that you learned nothing from 2018?
We learned everything.
And you let it pass.
And we learned everything. And one of the things we have said, let me tell you, and members of the panel and dear viewers, I think there is one critical component people forget when they are looking at the whole process of the conduct of the election. The main focus is largely on the Electoral Commission. But you should recognize there are other key players in the entire electoral process. You have the candidates, those are key players. You have the voters, you have political parties, you have security, you have everybody. Those are key players. You may find the Electoral Commission, and in most cases we do, conduct our business in accordance with the law. We organize everything, we sensitize the people, we inform the people, and they take part where they are required. But the things that create a negative aspect about the electoral process is the work of other stakeholders. For example, violence. It's not the Electoral Commission that perpetuates violence. For example,
no, but what's your role?
Bribery of voters.
What's your role?
Our role is to organize, conduct a free and fair election. But we don't work in a vacuum. We don't work in a silo process. We work together with the other stakeholders, the rest of the Ugandans who have a stake in this election, the rest of the people.
You oversee the stakeholders.
Can you oversee people's hearts?
Honorable Lumumba, should the country sweep the anomalies under the carpet and we say this was an election and the country moves on?
One, every day offers us an opportunity if you have a sound mind. It's a blackboard that you learn and you take in what you've learned from what has happened that day, even at a personal level or institutional level, even at a national level. So I think we all should learn from this. One is that we held elections for the women councils, the same villages, the same size of the village, and they were successful. I don't know whether you registered the issues of violence anywhere in the whole country, and none happened. So as mothers, we offered a good example to this country, and all of the others, especially men, should learn from the women, because our elections for women councils were very successful. So they should learn from that. Two, the issue you are raising, we can't just sweep away everything. Maybe what we require is that next term we should be able to explain and say, if we want to use, if we want to go for sacred ballot, and that's what they think is the best, though the Mugole does not believe in that. He says the most transparent one is what? Is lining up. We should put in more time for the register, like many of you have discussed here, and also sensitize. Electoral Commission, you should add in more resources for sensitizing people to know. Because what happened this time, quite a number of people thought that since I've been voting in that village, my name must be in that village. Not knowing, like, we may have in this village 3 villages combined to make one polling station. A to C are voting on this village. Then D to F are voting on another village. Then F to Z are voting on another village. So if you happen to be within that range of the alphabetical order and they are voting on that village, on your village, you would assume so. There are people who would come to report on the voting day saying, I've come to vote. This is where I vote from. Don't you people know that this is where I vote from? But your name is not in the register. So that is something. Then too, people who are complaining, in this register they brought people from out. Like we have said, how do we identify people from, especially in the urban areas? Because people wake up to go and look for cassava, look for food. People don't know the neighbors, don't know the neighbors. But in the villages, people know each other. So I think we would now find a method that brings the two to balance, the urban and the what and the rural, based on the different ways of how they relate with each other.
So
but also what I want also to do is that NRM party sent 100,000 shillings per village for them to first have a baraza as NRM, to know, are you in this register? Have you come to register or not? So maybe Electoral Commission could copy that from NRM, and there is first a meeting some days before, so that people from that village, those who can, because not everybody of course would attend, and there is a village baraza to be able to identify each other, but also not neglecting the point people have raised here about having the village IDs. And also, since when we are registering the national the NIRA, our IDs behind will mention your village or your cell. So maybe that is data that can easily be extracted and given to the Electoral Commission, village per village. So I think what we need to have is the whole of government approach to this issue, since we already have the data of people who have been registered. Because that very data is used by other institutions like immigration, like the passports and the driving permits. All of those are used. So let's have the whole of government approach to use the data we already have in the hands of government, but also look at how we balance. But what we should also learn from women. For me, what I want also to add on is that the rumor that was behind some of this, I think, could be what caused the violence. Because there were rumors around that, you know, like when Besigye, where I was, the president, when he went for campaigns in Uganda, where he called the leaders of NRM at the sub-regional level, they put the issue of looking into the remuneration or facilitation of chairperson 0C1. And so he didn't comment about it because he had not had a discussion within NRM, so he could not commit, and it wasn't part of what was in the manifesto of NRM. So people left saying he's going to give us 500,000 per month. He said 120 per month. No, he must have, the way he was looking, I think he's going to give us 100,000 per month. So that, I think, is part of what caused some violence in some areas, and it was somewhere we are behaving like it's an existential war. It's an existential battle. They must win. If they don't, some could not. They could not. They would not exist. But
how about the notion that most NRM candidates went around threatening people that if you don't vote for me, you will not access PDM?
Where was that? Who can quote that? Because I was deep in the villages in these campaigns, and I didn't see it happen anywhere. And even, by the way, to your surprise, the village where I voted from, the one who won was opposition. Though all of the neighboring villages, it was NRM that won. So when you said they were intimidating, but on my village, and they declared him when I was standing watching, and congratulated him. Opposition won in the village where I voted from. So I don't want you to take that because I'm a minister and everybody in the village knows it. So who was intimidating who? If it was an issue of somebody intimidating anybody, I should have been the biggest intimidator in my village because I hold the highest... No, of course I had to line up for NRM.
So maybe people have a problem with you in that village.
No.
Well, Honorable
because
Museveni.
they chose the person they wanted, and I didn't want to go into all of that because if they didn't do enough preparation, like mobilizing people to go and register in the register, my NRM candidate, I realized that was the biggest. He took it for granted that they've been voting there, they vote, and that's how I was able to find out. Well, so we even as leaders in NRM or leaders in government would take it to that level with a lot of simplicity and humility. And I congratulated the winner, and life goes on.
Honorable Museveni, I saw members of the top organs of the NRM, including ministers and members of parliament, hit the ground, canvassing support for their candidate. Didn't look quite enthusiastic about LC1 polls.
I saw a number of people looking for... I think your site was selective. Given that I don't have aspects, I think I have a better site than you. I see a number of people. But the election is local. And I don't imagine that Honorable Kaswell Lumumba, for instance, would come and canvass for votes in Chira for NRM candidates. This election is localized. So people were campaigning in their respective places. And to an extent, this election is not so much on national issues. The election is so much on local issues. And that is that many times defines the voting patterns.
Yeah, but you saw how NRM top leaders...
You can mention them.
From SEC. They were all at the grassroots. They
if
went
you are
to the
mentioning
grassroots.
Kweheyo, he was going there to promote rigging. He wasn't. but people, I
saw Odonga in his village. I saw Tango Doi.
The top people belong to villages.
Yes. And
There's
I saw,
nothing wrong.
I also mentioned that I saw a number of NOP MPs in their villages. But I wanted to comment, Simon, briefly on the issue that the chairman-elect mentioned.
Chairman.
Chairman. That, you know, this is the most transparent election. I don't think so. Actually, some of us, when this amendment to the Local Governments Act was being brought to provide for lining up, I'm one of the people who opposed it. Because the key tenet of democracy is making a free will in a secret ballot election. We are in this place where we have preferred lining up because of some officers of Justice Byabakama's commission, who even after Simon has got 4 votes, they will declare him a winner contrary to someone who has got 100 in a secret ballot.
Evidence.
That's why when a person is making a free will, I'm saying that people are preferring this because of the level of how low we have sunk. You know, that's the reason why we're preferring. People wouldn't...
We are settling for less.
Simon, your wife should be able to come and make a free will and decide whether to vote for you or not in a secret ballot. She wouldn't, by lining up, she would have to be... naturally, she would have to line up behind you. So the point is that some of these issues we've been forced as a result of our poor election management, that people no longer trust the secret ballot because they have seen it. They have seen it that where a person wins all the polling stations and then they declare another person. That's why they prefer. But even by lining up, still there are more practices. They mentioned where someone sent you a message. I saw it in Chira, where someone counted only one line and then the presiding officer had to go away without counting the other lines, which were big. I saw it, and I heard someone mentioning it. And then the other issue of the register. Every election begins principally with the register. However, here I want to be, I don't know to call it the devil's advocate. I want to defend Justice Byabakama a bit. That some of these issues are beyond, because the law provides for different requirements. For local council, the requirement is residence. When it comes to the other general election, people like Simon, who is a born of Busiro, can choose to register from Busiro, even when he stays elsewhere.
Yeah.
And many people like that. Simon, chairman, can go and register when he stays in Kampala for the other general election. However, this one, the requirement is residence.
Yeah.
So it goes back to the planning I was talking about earlier, that give this time such that people can generate a new register. It was so bizarre, Simon, to the extent that even in the last election, the women councils that Honorable Kasole Mumba was talking about, they had a separate register. So you could find someone who is on the women register, who is not on the general register of the village council, because the registration was different. Yet, ordinarily, the requirements are similar. Even for the women register, you have to be a lady who stays in that village. So you could be disenfranchised on the general register and be on the women's register, or vice versa. So the question goes back to the issue of the government planning and always looking at this election as an inferior election, the L1 election. Because remember when we had it in 2018, it was coming on the heels of over almost 15, 19 years without the election. Now it has come after about 7 years. So this business of looking at this unit, which is provided for under our laws as inferior, goes back to what the chairman-elect was talking about, and it goes back to people looking at it as something that is not worth it.
Yeah.
However, even the other bad people have also come to it, even at the lowest unit.
Okay, Justice Byabakama argues that we can disregard the anomalies. They're negligible.
Well,
that's not what I said.
That is...
No, he said he scored 98.4 success.
That's why I said that if you're looking at it from a quantitative point of view, the question is, and if you want to use that substantiality test, it's in regard to if you have an electoral block. What would happen to a village, for instance, which is going to have a chairman whom they didn't elect? What would happen to that village? Would the substantiality effect be working? No. So that negligibility that he's talking about can be disregarded if you're talking about a bigger block, for instance, a presidential election. However, if you're talking about for instance, villages where they declared a wrongful person, then that is not negligible because for 5 years they're going to have an imposter as a leader.
Thank you. Honorable Dongoto, we're taking a break, but in a couple of minutes. To what extent does this election define Uganda's electoral future, the trajectory of Uganda's electoral politics?
I think the Ugandan electoral politics is fast changing. During the UPC days, the state would reach for the ruling party. Then along the way, Ugandans have evolved where the ruling party reach for individuals. Now we have even evolved further where the Electoral Commission reaches for certain individuals the ruling party is interested in. So the trajectory is worrying. And this comes back to Honorable Lumumba, Minister of National Guidance, and my good friend Musisi. We really need concrete legislation on these LC elections. Yeah. Because Justice Byamukama is at the receiving end of all the blames, even when there are severe planning difficulties. For example,
where are the lapses?
I was in the appointments committee for 10 years. Justice Kanyahamba was appearing before us, and he raised one poignant question. He said that he went to his village. He was summoned to his village. He's a judge of the Supreme Court. He was summoned to his village over a land dispute with a neighbor before LC1. So he raised a preliminary objection that the chairman LC1 is a relative of the other party. And guess what the chairman answered? That if I don't stand for my relatives, who else will? So the problems are bigger. The problem to me is not the elections, but what the elections is to produce. And now, my good friend Solo, US and LC, you can be earning up to about 20 million a month because most people are buying land.
But isn't it 10,000?
No, they have even changed to 10%. So another thing, Minister of National Guidance, we need to regulate the LC pay. Because the LC in Muyenga would sell a land for $3 million US, and these days they ask for between 5 to 10%. That means the LC would get up to about 150 million. It is illegal, but they are getting it. If not, the LC will not sign. Now, an LC from my village in Upolachen, they give them 2,000 shillings and some cups of sorghum in appreciation for the job well done. And yet, as a lawyer, they are very important in legitimizing transactions. So the minister, before the stamps are issued to LC1s, I think we need to start synchronizing how their pay would be. Because as of now,
you saw how much candidates invested.
It is a better business to be LC1 of Muyenga than MP. Because you can get up to 150 million a week, depending on the land sales.
The best in this country is Kisenyi.
Yeah, even in Kisenyi.
That is the best.
You know? Yeah. And this worries me because we are now seeing more people coming into the LC system. They are looking at the money. And I was praying to my God that the elderly people should win the LC ones. Because the young generation, this one's born in 2001, they are more of transactional.
But even the elders have become crafty. You find an old man.
You see, I'm sorry.
I'll come to you. Mr. Tweheyu, you seem to be very comfortable with the country's electoral journey. Yet we are doing elections in a very shabby manner where you say in 3 months, you declare in April that in June, July, we'll have an LC election.
I'm not so comfortable as you'd like to say, because there are a number of gaps that need to be closed. The comfort I have is that for us as a party, we have done the best to prepare for the elections, even before the Justice Byabakama team announces. And this is what it should be. You people, those who want to stand for positions, should also take responsibility to encourage their people to make sure that they first of all learn, but they also teach their own people the process of elections. It is not, as Justice Byabakama says, it is not the day of elections that matter most. It is actually the process, the starting of the process, the making of the register, the checking of the register, the mobilization of our own people, and subsequently the vote protection of our own people, if it is for the ballot paper. For cities and towns, they count themselves a little more lucky because they had the voter slips. And those were also working as a safety for those who were electing and those who were being elected. So if you convince your people, if you went and organized yourself to make sure that your people are registered, then you would count on the voter slips and get to go. But if you didn't go there and you just waited and said, okay, they know me, therefore I should go there, you would really end up the way you ended when you were trying to campaign to come to parliament. You lost several times because you would be here at the station, people would look at you and they say, oh, this is the man. And I want to believe that all those people who didn't vote you knew you in person. Yet, they could not vote you because there are social dynamics which go beyond the simple appearance and voting. So people must learn what is expected of their communities. People must first organize the problems and actually the interests of their own people.
Thank you. So we're taking a break, but you're in the driving seat, and the general feeling out there is that you've raised the bar of LC1 chairperson, someone who is at PhD level vying for a small seat. What should the country expect that is unique from Bachaime Betumanyi?
First of all, I'll never sit next to you on this table again. I think I'll sit there. Why? Because every time you're going for a break, I don't get any.
I'm surprised you're protesting.
Yeah, because you don't give me enough time. But let me just speak about three things real quick, Simon, if I may. The first thing, Honorable Justice Piabakam, I need you to take this thing very seriously. The issue of registering people who do not stay in the village. Yeah. Lutete A in Kasangati, they locked people out. They brought people who do not come from the village. People did not vote. The other people are supposed to vote in the village. They were not there. Now, what is my suggestion of curing this issue? Because it keeps coming back, and that's how votes are rigged. I've told you, vote rigging doesn't happen on the polling day. It happens during the registration exercise. This is my proposal. I grew up with my grandfather who was an LC1 chairperson. And I'm happy that now I'm taking over.
His grandfather's shoes.
Now, Muhoozi used to give people village IDs. And I insist, village IDs to identify you. When the police arrest you in the night walking, they'll say, who are you? Now, when you bring out a national ID that shows that you are from Entebbe.
Or you're registered in Entebbe.
In Entebbe, but you're in Bamta Kude, they'll start to raise issues. So when they are registering the national, for the voters register, present your ID, but also present your village ID. In my view, that would sort this issue
And then
out.
we have to look at the legal framework.
Yeah, we can then ask Kasule Lumumba and the OHTMC to think about
the
legalities of that. That is my first proposal.
Well, yeah.
The second thing,
You're now chairman.
Simon, now that I'm chairman, these are the other things that I think I want to do. You see, the problem with what the Honorable Odonga Otto said, chairman receive 100 million. So Odonga Otto was in parliament for over 10 years. Ask him how much he was earning. They would be increasing his money for vehicles. Up to now, MPs earn 300 million shillings for a vehicle. Do you know what they've given to LC1 chairman?
Bakagari. You have it already.
Simply, I've not got it yet.
But you're ready to ride.
But I'm going to ride. But I think people need to recognize that LC1 chairman, it's not a job.
Yeah.
It's a service. Yeah. The people who take the LC1 chairmanship as a job end up stealing from the people.
Selling people's land.
And selling people's land and doing all the things that they want to do because they want to benefit from it.
Yeah.
What do I want to do for the people of Bamtakude real quick? I think first of all, we are going to do a village voter count to understand how many people are in my village. I'm taking my staff for a retreat, a 3 days retreat to do a strategic plan for my village. Yeah. Listen, I manage organizations. Systems work in the organizations I work for. So why not
I think you're being ambitious.
No, listen to me. Listen to me. This is where we're getting it wrong. So we think that the LC system should just be managed with, that ambiguity. No, the reason why I'm coming to this village is because I have gotten the expertise and experience, and I've seen systems work to improve organizations and companies. Why not bring those systems to my village? So I've told you, Simon, we're going for a 3-day retreat. We're going to do a strategic plan for the village, a 5-year strategic plan. We're going to do a work plan.
You have already appointed your team?
Yes, because it's done on that day.
Who among them is a relative?
No one. Okay. But let me finish.
Okay.
You're disrupting.
Okay.
So we're going to do a work plan, an annual work plan, Simon, for the village. Now, once we finish our annual work plan, we're going to do an annual budget. And we're going to look at how to resource mobilize for the village, within and without. Simon, I'm networked. I'll call Justice Biabakama to say, I need a well. Can you support? I'll go to the parish and follow up the money from the parish development model to my village. What I bring to my village are systems, structures that have worked elsewhere that are needed to work in my village, to transform my village.
I think you should be political enough.
No, it's not politics. No, forget about the politics. Systems work here. Systems work in organizations. Systems work in government. Why wouldn't systems work at the village level? Because you have reduced the LCs to just be irrelevant, drunkards, school dropouts. It shouldn't be that. We must build our nation a village at a time by setting systems that work to serve our people better. That's what it's about.
So you should collect the politics.
We're going to, I'm telling you, watch me. And watch me and listen to me closely. Let me go on record. Let me go on record, Simon.
At the national level.
Let me go on record. Simon, we are going to transform Bamtakude village to be a model village that proves that when we put the right people in the right places and set up systems that work, that villages can be transformed. In fact, I've started already talking to my fellow LCs LC1 chairmen that went through. We are going to do a national association of LC1 chairmen.
Can I come and sit on Bamtakude?
Please come. We are going to do a national association of LC1 chairmen. And I'm going to first of all ask that I be the lead. Because the mayors have that.
Well, we are taking a very short break. But Solomon, Justice Biabakama wants to settle in your area. Will he give you 10%?
Of course. But that money is not mine, it's for the village.
We'll take a break.
Frontline.
Billions are invested, promises are made, projects are launched. But what happens after the ribbon is cut? Are public fans delivering results? Are communities seeing the impact? Every Sunday, NBS Television follows the money, audits the promises, and examines the projects shaping Uganda. With facts, evidence, and voices from the ground. Fixing Uganda, auditing progress, demanding accountability. Every Sunday, only on NBS Television.
Hey, travelers! Are you a family gearing up for that big vacation, a hustler working abroad coming home, or your squad chasing sunsets and passport stamps? It's time you lock in. Say goodbye to long airport queues, shocking roaming bills, and the stress of hunting for local SIM cards, because now you can travel like a local. Stay connected in over 180 countries. Just scan, tap, and boom! Instant data the moment you reach your destination. Get your Rogue Travel eSIM today at travel.roguetelecom.co.ug. Contact us on 020-5000123.
The National Mosquito Net Distribution Campaign is back. No one should die of malaria in this era. It is your responsibility to chase malaria from your home. The good news is that the government of Uganda has once again started distribution of mosquito nets under the 5th Universal Coverage Campaign, also known as the Under the Net campaign. Under this exercise, 1 mosquito net will be distributed per 2 people in every household. A village health team member, a community health extension worker, also known as a CHU, and the LC1 chairperson will move house to house house to register members of the household in preparation for receiving their mosquito nets. Do not lie back. Ensure that you register all your household members to receive a mosquito net. On the distribution date, move to your distribution point and receive your net. Mosquito nets protect you and your family members from infectious mosquito bites that lead to malaria. Ensure that you receive the net, hang the net, and sleep under the net every night.
This night is going to be from here up to here. In other words, prepare for celebration. Hallelujah! That is the character of the day. Rejoicing, being glad. Hallelujah! And let me tell you, it is not going to take rocket science.
Watch The Power of Prophecy with Prophet Elvis Mbonye this Saturday, 6:30 p.m. on NBS TV, Uganda.
The Miss Uganda 2026 journey to the crown is calling. Are you confident, intelligent, ambitious, and ready to represent the Pearl of Africa? Register now. Log on to missuganda.org. Celebrating 15 years of true Ugandan beauty. Follow us on Star Times Makula Chika starting 31st of July every Friday to Sunday at 8 p.m. Sponsored by the sponsors VNA Sherry, Vaseline, Home, 7 Days International, Evervest Malt, and the lead sponsor Open Uganda. Alcohol is not for sale to persons under the age of 18. Please drink responsibly.
Across Uganda, the parish development model is paving the way for prosperity, helping families transform their lives through strategic farming practices, like the 4A model.
In our Chivaro of 1996, we said first acre, put coffee, second acre, fruit. The third acre, you put for dairy cows. The fourth acre, food, cassava. The good thing is that now cassava is also becoming a very good cash product, but at least for food. Then, mind you, the backyard. You put forage for eggs, you put piggery.
I'm in a 1 acre plot of land. In this 1 acre, Your Excellency, I practice banana plantation. I also practice coffee. I also have dairy, Your Excellency. Every month, Your Excellency, I get 500,000 from these bunches.
The 7 activities we recommended, they have a big global demand.
We have 10,000 Nile tilapia fish and 10,000 African catfish. And when we sell our 10,000 tilapia, we get in one harvest 20 million shillings.
Fruits, especially capsule, which is cold, can do very high value crops like apples. And then finally, those who are near the wetlands, like the ones in Bukit who are wasting the wetlands, they should do fish farming, not in the center of the swamp, but at the edge of the swamp.
From coffee farms to fish ponds, the 4-acre model is empowering Ugandans to transform their lives. The parish development model is your pathway to wealth creation. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance.
Frontline.
Welcome back. It's the Frontline, and we're now running the last lap of tonight's show. Many thanks to all our viewers on Afro Mobile. Thank you very much for being hooked onto the Frontline. Justice Biabakama, quickly, there are about 4 questions. Why would the country waste a lot of money on village registration when NIRA already registered people and they have national IDs?
Well, you see, as I think Honorable Muhoozi said, the starting point is the law. The law provides that when it comes to conducting village elections, the Electoral Commission shall compile, organize, and prepare a register for willing residents. Willing residents. Now, that register is different from the National Voters Register. To start with, the National Voters Register is a digital register. And secondly, as I think George said, or Honorable Odonga have forgotten, that the National Voters Register is premised on two criteria. One, you can register to vote from either your parish of birth or your parish of residence currently. But the village register is primarily on residence. You might be born of Omoro, but your residence in Kampala. So you vote from where you are resident currently. So that's the starting point. And therefore, to me, it's not a waste of resources. The National Voters Register, as I said, is digital. It is photo-bearing. We have the photos of all the voters. But if you are going to organize a village register with the photos, it's going to be quite costly. It's going to be costly.
You can extract from the National Register to create a village register.
Yes, but you see...
I think that's feasible.
Yes, but you see, even that one becomes costly. Remember, and that explains why I think government moved away from a secret ballot for village elections to lining up because of the immense cost involved. Remember, in the village elections, every village is a constituency and a polling station. And every village, therefore, would have its own ballot paper. Now, when it comes to the register, therefore, I think it was found appropriate that let us generate a register. For instance, if you voted from Entebbe, where you are resident, but now currently you're residing in Kampala, so you are supposed now to vote from where you reside currently. So in my view, it's not a waste of resources. It's not very costly. In any case, these are just ordinary books which we print as Electoral Commission. They are, the recordings or entries are made by hand and so on and so forth. So it's not costly.
Okay.
That's a question.
Do you agree that the village register is problematic?
Yes, but the problem is created by we ourselves. We ourselves. If I know that Solomon Serwanja is not a resident of Bamutakude, but then I bring his name, I bring in other names. That's why I said the starting point for a free, a credible register is with the people. If you know what you are doing is wrong, why do you do it?
So, registers are manipulated, and that's what you go for.
Yes, no, we don't go for it. We put in place mechanisms of ensuring that the people of the village participate in cleaning the register.
In just 2 days? In 2 days?
But let me tell you.
In 2 days?
2 days is... But it's adequate. You can. You can clean the register in 2 days.
I think that would be magical.
No, if the people adequately mobilize.
No. Look, there are no photos to identify the person.
Yes.
So you expect me to go running through the register. You expect 1,000 people in a village to look at the register.
Simon, are you aware that in this recent election, actually some people identified by his residents, and they raised the complaints and said, Simon Kagwanjala is not a resident in this village, and we deleted the people. It's a question of vigilance, and I emphasize, it's a question of vigilance. Even, by the way, even the national voter in the secret ballot process, where we have the photo-bearing register, we also have that display. And the people again come to identify and say, but this is not our voter. So I think let us emphasize citizen participation, citizen vigilance in saying now we are going for these elections. Can we scrutinize that? If Simon does not know this, Simon cannot tell whether Byabakama Mugenyi is a resident or not, someone who knows Byabakama will come and say, but this person is not a voter. But where you have the starting point is we, especially the candidates, the Solomons who came and said, now we are going for this election, I must bring in mercenaries onto the register. That is the starting point.
I think I get the feeling that you're now settling for less. That's what you can afford.
I'm settling for more.
You're running an affordable election, not a credible election.
I'm saying the citizens must play their role and must play it lawfully. But if you are going to manipulate the process as a voter, as a candidate, then that's wrong.
Chairman has a question for you.
Because Justice Biabakama, I want us to be real here.
Yes.
You have 1,000 people in a village, and it's displayed. Yeah. I can't know all the 1,000 people.
Yes.
I
agree, Solomon. I agree.
Do you know all the 1,000 people in your village?
I agree.
I had 1,400 children in a school, and I knew them
by name.
Yes.
Then you're a genius.
Either by name or by village or by parent, I knew them.
But the school is different.
No, that's one.
Solomon,
but if you live in that,
village,
yes, if you live in that village and
one
you're
of the
resident
things
in
you
it,
should
you must
emphasize
know.
on, Solomon, Solomon. Yes. Now that you are chairman, one of the things you should emphasize on with your residents, get to know one another, get to know your neighbor. Get to know one another.
Justice I somewhat presented a solution to this issue.
Yes.
As a chairman of Bamtakude village, it's going to be my role as the chairperson to register all my residents.
Absolutely.
In my village book.
And you go by that register?
No,
yes.
Listen. And I will issue village IDs to all my villagers. On that day of 2031, I want the Electoral Commission, maybe Kasule Lumumba, the Honorable, and George Musisi here, can amend the law to say, for villagers, come with your village ID.
And then you'll start issuing to your relatives so that they come and vote for you.
Honorable Lumumba.
Are you sure they can't be
Honorable Lumumba. There is a big contention on the pay for LC1 chairpersons.
Even your own.
We've seen this election has been quite expensive, with people doing processions, injecting a lot of money in this. How better can you streamline the operations of LC1 chairpersons?
Now you are bringing pay without
pay, because it's about the pay.
Without pay, they already have processions. What will happen if there is good pay? But nevertheless, you have realized how government has been increasing and factoring in the issue of inflation, about salaries of the different categories of people within the government. Now, when I look at local governments, we are now looking at how government can enhance the pay of the LC5, the local leaders, LC5 and the district councillors, and it will continue going down. But the president has always stressed that let's not pay much attention to the salary, because once you are not in office, what happens? But let's put much emphasis on enhancing everybody's income so that everybody is able to live subsistence and come into the money economy, so that balances it. So I think let's put much emphasis on issues to do with the household income. Now that we had the census, where we now have statistics of the people who are in subsistence life at parish level, we should be able now to bring out and use that statistics instead of sending a block figure of 100 million per parish, because parishes are at different levels in terms of income, so that we are able to bring out to put more money in parishes where there are more people who are still in subsistence. So that is one way. Two, we should also make as much as possible this work of leadership to be more voluntary work. Because once people's income is enhanced, then it should be voluntary. Because now, if you observe, do we as members of parliament offer better service than the person who is at the implementation unit of service delivery? I think these are issues that we should be able to discuss as leaders at different levels and see how do we balance. I know the lawyers here are going to tell me 1, 2, 3. They're going to tell me about the constitution. Once somebody has been paid, you cannot come to cut down. But let's also have that discussion. Maybe if we get whatever is paid to us as the ministers, the members of parliament, the local leaders, the RDCs, how do we now cut it down? Like government has done it under the rationalization process, where we're saying those in agencies are paid much higher than those in the mainstream ministry. Those in KCC are paid much higher than the people in the media council. Those who are in, like in my ministry, people in UCC are paid more money than the people in UBC. But all of these people are in the same ministry, all working to score in the same. So how do we now balance this? Because they are all serving the same government, scoring in the same goal, but paid differently. And how do we arrive at that? Are we getting back to get the human resource specialists like the Serwanjas to define the pay in relation to the job description, or define the pay in relation to your output? Because sometimes there is also the output. You can be paid, yet you are not earning much. So we need to have...
Being NOC1 chairman is lucrative in most areas?
In some, it is. Like I gave the example of here in Chisenyi, because one time we went for a meeting in Chisenyi when I was Secretary General. The chairman NOC1 came in a very big car, very clean, like it has been smeared Vaseline. Now, I'm yet to see the one of Serwanja. Now,
but should everyone be broke?
No. I went ahead to find out. As a researcher and as a leader, I had to find out why is this one different. Because we had also held a meeting still in Kampala, and the chairman NOC1 of the area around Lumu came in a different car. But when you look at Lumu and Chisenyi, they told me, no, now here, this is where they are selling plots. They are selling plots. They are transforming this slum into these arcades. So people are buying plots in centimeters. So the chairman, LOC1, has a percentage per centimeter. Now, I had to find out, is it legal or not? It is illegal. Yeah. But in the perception of the buyer, in the perception of the LOC1, in the mind of the LOC1, the mind of the buyer, in the mind of the witnesses, they think the 10% is legal. It is not. But now that still comes to us as government. Why have we left this go on? With the whole enforcement system, why is this going on? Why should an investor allowed to be pushed to the level of accepting the 10%? Some have talked about 5%, but I think it comes down to 5% based on how aggressive the investor is. So the investors, whether local or international, should all be protected by government.
Honorable Musisi, how much of a rude awakening is the outcome of the LC1? And does it give the opposition some mind to do soul searching on your ground support?
Well, I don't think so, because some of the issues that have come out of not only this election but also the previous cycle is not even just about opposition NRM. There are issues, for me, I would love to look at them at a broader level, at the expense of sounding like the LC1 chairman-elect. Because, Simon, if you have an electoral process where the law is disregarded, even if it is in 10 polling stations, it should concern everyone. It shouldn't be a matter of opposition ruling party. Because what they call an election is the free will of the people. The election envisaged in the Constitution is a free will of being, in as much as possible, being reflected in the results. If you have an election where people die as a result of the elections, civilians, I don't think that is what. So, Simon, for me, I don't want to look at it as a terms of a rude awakening. Because
so it doesn't give you a test of what's on the ground?
Not at all. I think it just gives us a taste of what is happening in the country, Simon. For me, if you look at it as opposition NRM, in my opinion, you'd be looking at it in very narrow lenses. the issue is, how can we, because you've had the chairperson of the commission decrying the interference in the electoral process. The interference maybe by civilians, interference by security forces. That is what we should be addressing.
Absolutely.
And then when those issues are addressed, we can come back to the contestations of which party is bigger.
Thank you. Honorable Otto, we want to cross to Afromobile now. Does this election give
NBS Frontline. NBS. Always.
Pointing a finger at the Electoral Commission and saying the register, maybe they put it there, you watch it once and all that. Yes. If a contestant can invest so much in a drive, if a contestant can fail to invest in a register and invest in a drive, then it means his priorities are not put where his interest should be and where the win should be. Secondly, my brother here was saying you can't know people in the village, but Kagwa, this brother of mine, I think, is either overestimating or underestimating his role. You are the one who is going to sign for the land deals. Do you know whose land this one is or it is not? So you have a duty, first of all, to understand the dynamics. The whole village of yours, you must know this plot is for Kagwa, this plot is mine, and yours is even worse because it's a town. You should even know the history of it. You should even start and say, Kagwa brought the plot from me, I had brought it from him, and he had grabbed it from Musisi. Okay. All those should be known. You should also be able to know the households. Yes.
Mr. Trehe,
Yes.
where you stay?
Yes.
Can you name 20 neighbors?
Why not?
Head?
Why not?
And their children?
Why not? I can do that.
And their children?
Because I have a duty.
I think you're dishonest.
If I am to be safe, I must know my immediate neighbor.
He's a politician.
Let me tell you, even give you a live example. I must know my immediate neighbor is 6 stars. Listen, 6 stars on the left, I should say that. I should say on the next.
I don't mean in the village. I mean here in urban settings.
Here is want to know Masoli. We have our neighboring watch. We have it. Exactly. I can tell you A, B, C, D. We even have normal meetings some Sundays.
So you know 1,000
and we must
on
get
the
to
register.
that. If I were to stand as the chairperson of that village, I can confirm, I would first of all know the household.
I think that's
wishful. How many? No, it's not wishful.
But Simon, if
he must know the household that he has.
It is through this village council
that
people get to know one another. Solomon is going to convene a village council, and the village council is all the residents of the village who are under the executive committee